I'm gonna take the sweater off because it's hot in here. I wore it to look more professional, but now you're gonna see me just in a t-shirt. Okay. Hey, I'm Carter Carroll. I'm a documentary DP and director, as well as a freelance videographer, and I am starting a YouTube channel. I have been doing videography for the last 15 years, and I want to share my experiences, the things that I've learned over the last 15 years, the things that I'm doing now, the things that I'm continuing to learn and explore. I wanted to start with an introduction video because my story is probably a little different than most, but probably similar to a lot of folks like myself who are living in a smaller market, living in sort of a southern rural town, rural area. So I was exposed to cameras kind of starting from a young age. My dad was a real estate appraiser for 40 something years. And during the summers, especially when I was out of school, I would help him on a lot of his houses that he was appraising, and he would ask me to go around and take photos for him. So I probably started doing that when I was like 7 or 8. But then my parents bought like a nicer digital camera that wasn't a DSLR. It could do, you know, basic photography and like video recording, and we would take that on trips. Around this time in middle school for me, my friends and I also started making some YouTube videos, some prank videos, and one friend and I in particular really got into making Halo machinimas. Shout out to Red versus Blue. So that's when I really started to learn a little bit about video editing and some of the basic video editing software that was available then. Also, while I was in middle school, I started volunteering for my church's media team. So we did broadcasting of our Sunday services, as well as making videos for the church. And I mostly was doing the broadcasting side of that. I really started to enjoy it. You know, that was when I really started to understand, like, oh, you know, I can be doing things, I can be making, I don't think I understood at the time that it was a form of storytelling, but I understood that it was a way to affect people who couldn't make it to a Sunday service or make it to a location and still be a positive impact on their lives. And I think that that's a really important thing that I still hold to this day is, you know, we are given these gifts of videography, storytelling, directing, and it would be a shame to not use them to help people and to help impact people's lives. In high school though, I'm mostly stuck to photography. I really started to learn photography and really enjoying it. I was really doing a lot of work for our high school's newspaper and yearbook, to the point so that my senior year of high school, I became the yearbook editor. But I need to back up just a little bit because my junior year of high school, one of my best friend's moms had just finished writing a script for a movie. It was her very first feature film script, and through just the course of conversing one day, she was like, you know, I think that we should make this. I think that we should make this film come to life. And I was like, well, you know, I don't really know a whole lot about filming with DSLRs. You know, my only real experiences are with broadcasting cameras and camcorders, but why don't we just try it? We put together a very small budget, mostly just for pizza and batteries. We made a film that I'm proud of, but I'm also glad lives on my hard drive only. There's definitely some elements to it that even at the time I was like, this is very amateur. This is like in no way even close to looking good. But we did a really good job of telling the story, I think. But that's the way it is when you make your first feature work. I think that most people who have made an amateur film and gone on to continue working in film will tell you is that you have to try. You know, I think that's one of the things that I've learned the most is that the only way to figure out what works is to figure out what doesn't work. Doing the process helps you to learn what to do for the next time and what to improve for the next time. So I graduated from high school and then decided to stay home and go to Louisiana Tech University because it's here in Ruston, in my town. I was gonna pursue a degree in journalism with a minor in photography because I thought that I wanted to be a photojournalist. And I really enjoyed the coursework, but I only stuck with it for basically one semester. Louisiana Tech's journalism program at the time was going through kind of an odd transition. It was a little bit behind in the way it was teaching things, and I realized that my options were either to change degree paths or transfer. I did not want to transfer because I had really good scholarships to Tech and knew that if I transferred, I would probably end up having to go into a significant student loan debt. And so I did what my mother suggested I do, and I got a business degree. I have a degree in computer information systems, which is basically a fancy version of IT. My sophomore year though, I ended up going to go work at my old church. I started in youth ministries, doing kind of everything under the sun, then transitioned to the media department and continued to do all of the things besides minister to children. Going into my senior year at Tech, I was approached by both the College of Business and the athletics department to be a video student worker for both. For the College of Business, I was also doing new student or potential student relations. And then at Louisiana Tech Athletics, I was doing broadcasting and, highlight reels, doing videos for the video boards. That was a really formative experience for me too, to know that my degree in computer information systems is helping me to understand broadcasting and helping to understand broadcasting systems. After graduating from Louisiana Tech, I took an internship with Louisiana Tech Athletics to basically become the assistant director of the broadcast and video department. But during this time, I learned that the university had never had a full-time videographer. The video duties had always been kind of given to student workers, and then at one point in time the university's social media manager had taken on video duties, but then she left. They approached me about a new position they were trying to create for a videographer because it was time for the university to have its own full-time videographer. They asked me if I wanted to do it. The answer immediately was yes. I wanted to have an impact on a place that I hold dear to my heart and to a place that means so much to me. Most of that job was making program videos and event recaps and, the occasional story piece and the occasional interview. In the fall of 2020, we were told that one of our legendary head basketball coaches, Coach Leon Barmore, was going to be receiving a statue in front of our basketball arena. Coach Leon Barmore led our women's basketball team to the highest of heights. I mean, they won like 4 national championships. They made 20 straight NCAA tournament appearances. I mean, other than having a building named after him, having the first statue on the athletics side of the university was such a huge honor. And so I proposed that we make like a 10 to 15 minute documentary style video about Coach Barmore. And the idea kind of got put on the back burner and the statue got delayed by like 8 months. It was supposed to happen in like the spring of 2021 and it got pushed to the fall of 2021. Towards the end of that spring, I came back to my boss and I was like, can we do the documentary thing? And I said, look, there's all these old tapes of the women's basketball program from that time. We have tons of people around here who could speak about it. I really think that we should at least try to make something. And she said, well, let me make a few phone calls and see if Coach Barmore can do it. It wants to do an interview. And so a few phone calls were made and he said he was interested in it, but he was busy until like almost the end of June. Now, mind you, the statue was being unveiled October 22nd, I think I'm thinking that day right, of 2021. And I knew that like if we were gonna make something, it probably needed to premiere the day before or sometime in that week. We interviewed Coach Barmore on June 21st, and I had 3 months to put a documentary of some kind together. I ended up interviewing the current head basketball coach, at Louisiana Tech who also played under Coach Barmore. I've interviewed another former player of his, and then I got the call that Kim Mulkey, who had just signed a new deal to become the head basketball coach of LSU, would do an interview with us. I almost lost my mind. So we did that interview. She killed it. She was so joyous on camera to talk about her time at Louisiana Tech. All of that to say, I had the privilege and also the problem of making a documentary about somebody who could have a 6-hour-long documentary made about him in 3 months. It was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of long days, lots of weekends stuck in my office, cutting these interviews down and also digitizing a bunch of old tape. That project told me that documentary was what I wanted to be doing. We did a premiere of that film the night before his statue was unveiled to a well-attended audience, probably 500 people maybe. And it really was just such a wonderful experience for me. And that video has several thousand views on YouTube, which I think is pretty successful for what it was. All of that to say, I guess, that project is what led me towards a career in documentary filmmaking. And I'll always be grateful for the experience of getting to make that project happen. The next year, I was very burned out from my time at Tech. I was pretty tired of making program videos and event recaps. So I reached out to a documentary director that I had met before just to see if he had any kind of possibility of needing another editor. I mean, I was willing to try to do whatever it took to start towards the career that I wanted. Fortunately, he took me on, and my wife and I moved to Shreveport, Louisiana for about 10 months. And every week we were there, we had at least one conversation about moving back to Ruston. You know, I learned so much during my time at the Rational Middle, working on the Rational Middle Net Zero series, but I knew that I wanted to be here in Ruston, making an impact on my community, helping to grow the arts, helping to grow filmmaking and videography efforts here in Ruston, as well as pursuing documentary filmmaking here from my home. And so in May, we moved back to Ruston, and I've been going for it ever since then. I've gotten to direct and produce a short documentary, which is coming out soon, hopefully in the next week or so from whenever this video goes up. And then I've had the chance to meet a well-known documentary filmmaker who I'm not going to name on camera because I don't want to give anything away, but he had me working on some kind of like freelance stuff that wasn't documentary related, and he liked my work a lot, and so he asked me to help shoot some B-roll for a sizzle for a documentary that he is working on developing right now with a pretty major production company. The production company liked my work so much too that they've said if this project gets funding, which all it needs now is the finished sizzle, they want me to help DP it. I know another friend of mine who is supposed to also be working on the project, so we may be co-DPing, but I'm really excited for that project, and I'm hoping that that comes to fruition next year sometime. And from his other work, I know that he can sell a project once it's done, and so I think that 2024 is going to be my year. I really do. It's been a hard road to get to this point to where I can sort of see some hope and expectation, hope and excitement for this next year. That's kind of where I am. I mostly am doing freelance videography work at this point, but I hope that next year freelance work is the side gig and not documentary filmmaking. I hope that documentary filmmaking becomes mostly a full-time thing for me in the next year, and that doesn't have to be strictly big projects. I mean, this short documentary I have coming out soon, I'm really excited about and really happy with the way it ended up turning out. I'll make a video about it sometime soon as well. I think you're all caught up with my story. I hope that it resonated with some of you. I hope it connects us. I hope that you'll stick around to see more stuff. Anyway, I'm Carter Carroll. Story connects us. I love you. Have a good one. Peace.